I gripped my coffee mug tightly, watching steam rise in the early morning light of my corner office. The view of downtown Seattle stretched before me, but my mind was stuck on last night's events. The family dinner that turned into a nightmare, the screaming, the final betrayal. "Miss Anderson?" My assistant's voice pulled me from my thoughts. "Your 9 a.m. is here, the new department heads from the merger." I nodded, straightening my blazer. "Send them in, Jessica." This was the moment I'd been both dreading and anticipating. After secretly acquiring Morton Technologies, my parents' workplace, for the past 20 years, I was finally revealing myself as the new director of operations. The door opened and a group of employees filed in. My heart stopped when I saw the mom and dad standing near the back, their faces already pale from the merger stress. They hadn't noticed me yet, too busy whispering to each other about job security rumors. "Good morning, everyone," I said, standing up. "I'm Emma Anderson, your new director of operations." The sound of my voice made my parents' heads snap up. Dad's coffee cup slipped from his hand, crashing to the floor. Mom's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Just 12 hours ago they'd been screaming at me in their kitchen. "You're no longer our daughter." Mom had shrieked, her face red with rage. "After everything we've done for you." What they'd done was rack up $85,000 in debt through bad investments and my brother Michael's failed business ventures. What I'd done was pay it off, using my savings and bonus from my meaningless office job, as they'd always called it. "You think paying our debt makes you better than us?" Dad had shouted. "You're just showing off, trying to make us feel small. We don't need your charity." I'd stood there, shocked by their reaction. I'd expected gratitude, maybe even an apology for years of dismissing my career. Instead, they'd thrown me out, claiming I'd betrayed the family by not giving the money to Michael instead, to try another business venture. Now, watching their faces drain of color as they realized their new boss was their disowned daughter, I felt no satisfaction. Only sadness. "Please take your seats," I continued professionally. "We have a lot to discuss about the company's new direction." The other department heads sat down, but my parents remained frozen. Dad's coffee was spreading across the floor, creating a dark stain on the carpet. "Mr. and Mrs. Anderson," I said, my voice steady. "Please join us." They moved mechanically to their seats, eyes wide with shock and growing horror. They knew what this meant. Their jobs, their reputations, their entire professional lives were now in the hands of the daughter they'd thrown away just hours ago. The meeting proceeded as planned. I outlined the new company structure, department goals, and transition timeline. My parents didn't speak once, their faces growing paler with each passing minute. As everyone filed out afterward, I called out, "Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, please stay behind." The room emptied until it was just us three. The silence was deafening. Through the wall of windows behind me, Seattle's morning traffic moved silently below, unaware of the drama unfolding in this office. "Emma," Mom finally whispered, "why didn't you tell us?" I leaned back in my chair, remembering all the family dinners where they'd dismissed my career, all the times they'd praised Michael's failed ventures while ignoring my successes. "Would you have listened?" I asked quietly. "When have you ever cared about what I do?" "But..." Dad struggled to find words. "You're our boss now." "Not exactly," I replied, opening a folder on my desk. "I'm the director of operations. But I am on the board that will be reviewing all current positions for redundancy." Their faces went even paler. "Emma, honey," Mom started, her voice trembling. "About last night, we were just shocked, emotional." I held up my hand, stopping her. "Let's keep this professional. Your positions will be evaluated like everyone else's. Your family connection to me, or lack thereof, as you made clear last night, won't be a factor." They sat there, shell-shocked, as I continued reviewing documents. Finally, Dad spoke up. "The debt. You paid it knowing you were taking over the company?" I met his eyes. "I paid it because you're my parents and you needed help. The acquisition was business. I never mixed the two, unlike you who mixed family loyalty with corporate decisions for years, always hiring Michael for positions he wasn't qualified for, always covering his mistakes." Mom flinched at the truth in my words. "You should get back to your departments," I said, returning to my paperwork. "There's a lot of transition work to be done." They stood up shakily, heading for the door. Just before they left, I called out, "Oh, and Mom, Dad? They turned back, hope flickering in their eyes. Next time you want to disown someone, I said calmly, make sure you know exactly who they are first. The door closed behind them with a soft click, leaving me alone in my office. I swiveled my chair to face the window, watching the city wake up below. My phone buzzed, a text from Michael. How dare you take over Mom and Dad's company? After everything they've done for you. I smiled sadly, remembering the years of sacrifice, of working my way up while they supported only him, of carefully planning this acquisition to save the company from his mismanagement. I turned my phone off and got back to work. The day was just beginning and there was still so much to do. The next few weeks were a masterclass in uncomfortable family dynamics playing out in a corporate setting. Every morning I'd watch my parents shuffle into the building, heads down, avoiding eye contact with everyone. Their confident strut was gone, replaced by the hesitant steps of people who knew their world had completely shifted. The whispers followed them everywhere. It didn't take long for the office gossip mill to figure out their connection to me, and the story of their public disowning spread like wildfire. I never confirmed or denied anything, but the way they flinched every time I entered a room told everyone all they needed to know. Michael, however, wasn't as subtle. He started showing up at the office unannounced, trying to cause scenes in the lobby. She stole this company, he'd shout, red-faced and disheveled. She's trying to destroy our family. Security would escort him out, and I'd watch from my office window as he paced on the sidewalk, gesturing wildly while talking on his phone. Sometimes Mom would sneak down during her lunch break to talk to him, probably thinking I didn't notice. I did. I noticed everything. Like how Dad's reports started coming in perfectly formatted, triple-checked for errors. How Mom suddenly started arriving an hour early and leaving an hour late. How they both sat silently in meetings, no longer interrupting or pushing their agendas. Then came the first round of performance reviews. Miss Anderson, Jessica said one morning, the HR evaluations are ready for your review. I opened the folder and there they were, 2 decades of my parents' performance records. Years of mediocre evaluations swept under the rug because of their connections. Projects failed under their watch but blamed on others. Promotions given not because of merit but because of who they knew. And Michael's file, a string of positions created just for him, each ending in disaster, each quietly covered up with company money. The board is waiting for your recommendations, Jessica reminded me. I sat there staring at the files, remembering last Christmas when they'd laughed at my corporate drone job. When Mom had said I lacked ambition and Dad had agreed that at least Michael tried to be an entrepreneur. My finger hovered over the intercom. Please send in Mr. and Mrs. Anderson. They arrived quickly, sitting stiffly in the chairs across from my desk. Mom's hands were twisting in her lap, Dad's forehead beaded with sweat. I've been reviewing your performance records, I began, watching them squirm. There are some concerning patterns here. Emma, sweetie, Mom started but I cut her off. Director Anderson in the office, Mrs. Anderson. We've discussed this. She flinched, nodding quickly. Your positions, I continued, have been maintained largely through personal connections rather than merit. The board is recommending immediate termination of both roles. The color drained from their faces. But, Dad's voice cracked. We have mortgages, bills. We just got out of debt. Thanks to whom? I asked quietly. They fell silent, the weight of their actions finally hitting them. However, I said, shuffling the papers, I'm proposing an alternative to the board. New positions, entry-level in our smaller branch office. Lower pay, no authority but stable jobs. You'll have to earn any advancement. Entry-level. Mom whispered, horrified. At our age. Consider it a fresh start, I replied. One based on actual work, not connections. Of course, you can always decline and take the severance package instead. They looked at each other, decades of privilege crumbling around them. We'll take the positions, Dad said finally, his voice small. Good choice. HR will send the paperwork. You start next week. I turned back to my computer, dismissing them. As they reached the door, Mom turned back. Emma, about what we said that night. The transfer paperwork needs to be filed by Friday, I interrupted, not looking up. Make sure you complete it before then. The door closed behind them and I finally allowed myself to feel the weight of what I'd just done. My phone buzzed, another angry text from Michael. You're destroying this family. Mom and Dad built that company. I laughed bitterly. Mom and Dad hadn't built anything. They'd coasted on connections and nepotism, propping up Michael's failures with company resources. I was the one who'd worked my way up from nothing, learning every aspect of corporate operations, making connections, building my reputation. The next morning, I arrived early to find an envelope on my desk. Inside was an old photo of me at my college graduation, standing alone because my family had chosen to attend Michael's latest business launch instead. Paperclipped to it was a note in my mother's handwriting. We were wrong. About everything. I'm sorry. I slipped the photo into my drawer and started my day. Apologies were nice, but actions mattered more. They had a lot to prove and I wasn't going to make it easy. 2 months later, I sat in the same office, reviewing their first performance reports from the branch location. Dad had actually started taking night classes in current software systems. Mom had joined a mentorship program for older employees transitioning to new roles. They were trying. Really trying, maybe for the first time in their lives. Michael, on the other hand, had moved to Florida, still sending angry emails about family betrayal. Last I heard, he was trying to start a beach volleyball business. Some things never change. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. Your father and I were wondering if you'd like to have dinner sometime. As employees taking their director out, of course. We'd love to hear about your journey. The one we should have listened to years ago. I stared at the message for a long time, thinking about family, forgiveness, and the price of growth. Finally, I typed back. Tuesday, 7 p.m. Bring your latest performance metrics. We'll talk. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Sometimes the hardest lessons come from the people we least expect to teach them. Sometimes success isn't just about proving others wrong. It's about giving them a chance to prove themselves right. As I looked out over the city I'd worked so hard to conquer, I realized that true power isn't in the ability to destroy those who hurt you. It's in the strength to help them become better, even when they don't deserve it. The sun was setting over Seattle, painting the sky in shades of redemption. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities for growth, both for them and for me. But for now, I had a company to run and a family to rebuild, one uncomfortable dinner at a time. My assistant's voice crackled over the intercom. Miss Anderson, the board is ready for your presentation on the company's 5-year growth strategy. I gathered my materials, straightened my blazer, and headed to the conference room. The past was written, but the future? That was still up for grabs. And this time we'd all have to earn our place in it.